Welcome to the Caregiver Relief Podcast. I'm your host, Diane Carbo, RN. This episode is sponsored by myvitalvault.net, your all-in-one life organizer for aging adults and caregivers. It's designed to help you securely store your essential legal, medical, and emergency information in one easy-to-access place. Because when a crisis hits, being prepared can make all the difference. Join our Caregiver Relief community, a warm, welcoming space where you can connect with other caregivers, ask questions, share stories, and find support from people who truly understand. Visit community.caregiverrelief.com to join now, because caregiving is one of the hardest and most meaningful things you'll ever do, and no one should have to do it alone. And if this episode speaks to you, please take a moment to like, share, or comment. Every click helps us reach more caregivers who need encouragement, resources, and hope. And today I'm joined by a truly remarkable guest, Linda MacDougall. Linda is a holistic health practitioner, author, speaker, trainer, and massage therapist who specializes in working with seniors and the disabled. With decades of experience ranging from mental health work to being a federal advocate for Hawaii's developmentally disabled, Linda has gained a unique perspective on the challenges we face as we age. As the author of The Spirit Method of Massage for Seniors, Raising the Bar, Linda is dedicated to educating massage therapists, caregivers, and families about how posture, bones, and body awareness play a critical role in longevity and independence. Her keen eye for detail, her hands-on approach, and deep compassion make her an incredible resource for both seniors and caregivers. Today, we're exploring how bones and posture affect aging, why mobility aids need proper selection, and what caregivers and older adults can do to maintain strength, dignity, and quality of life. This is going to be an empowering conversation, so let's dive in. Linda, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to share all this valuable information. Can you share a little bit about your personal journey and what inspired you to dedicate your life working to seniors, the disabled, and caregivers?
Working with the disabled kind of came when my mother got fed up with me being in the house, and she put a job notice pinned to my pillow. So I got the job, and from there on, that's what I have done. It's been an advocate or whatever for disabled, and as I grew older, for seniors now as well.
That's beautiful. Let's talk about posture, because I have poor posture as I've had it since a young woman. I'm going to tell you right now, I had big boobs, and went to Catholic school. We were ashamed of our bodies. So now I'm round-shouldered. I'd like you to talk about how posture is such an important factor in how we age and what happens to our bones and alignment as we get older.
Starting around age 30, we all end up losing a lot of different things. That's when we really start to age.
Yes.
And our bones, as women in particular, start thinning at that age, because that's just what does it at that age. And
yes.
And as we go forward in menopause and all that, then we have lost the estrogen that keep our bones strong. Now, to be quite honest, I wear a very small dose estrogen patch, because I was diagnosed back in Hawaii with osteoporosis, and I just said, oh no, this is not happening.
Yes.
So I've come back, but most people don't know they can, and doctors will tell you that you can't. And
exactly.
That's very unempowering, because bones reformulate every 7 years. You have a new set of bones every 7 years.
That's a good point to make. I have chronic pain. I did my years of nursing. I did physical rehab nursing for many years, as well as all the orthopedics and all the other types of nursing where you're pushing and pulling. And I tease and tell people I used to pick up men for a living. Just to make fun of it. But I live with chronic pain now, and my lower SI joint has always felt like a stabbing knife in it. And I had a bone density test done a few years ago, 2 years ago now. And because I did all this weightlifting, I worked out a lot too, to stay strong, to be able to transfer patients and stuff. I have good bones, but because I've always favored this, and it's been over a period of 16 to 20 years, I was diagnosed with osteopenia. That is the stage before you get to osteoporosis in my left hip. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So in fact, I'm going to go again for a bone density test this month. But my concern is, because I want to know, I've been standing on it, I've been working on it, I've been walking, forcing myself to even through the pain, but it's to make that better, because women don't understand that when you have osteopenia even, and you move to osteoporosis, your bones, your hips can break before you fall. It doesn't have to have a fall. Your muscle can contract. So I'd really like to address this issue, and I'm glad you were able to speak with us about it today. We often discuss posture in terms of appearance. I know my dad would say, put your shoulders back, put your head up high. But you've talked to me in the past, and we discussed how it impacts things like lung capacity. Can you elaborate on that connection and why it's so critical to our overall health?
I will start with the bones are kept upright by muscles. Muscles have to be of equal strength on either side. They're opposing muscles throughout the body. And if one of those sets of opposing muscles gets weak, the other gets strong. What you have when you curve is your front muscles are contracting and getting too strong, and they're making your back muscles stretch and become way too weak. So for those of us who have the rounding in the back, you need to really start working on those back muscles.
Yes.
Stretching out the front ones. You can put a little pillow under yourself when you lie on a bed so that you stretch out that top part. And that's throughout the body. You've got these pairs. And so a lot of things get lopsided if you use one side too much.
You know what? I can attest to that. I sit and do podcasts. And when I'm done at the end of the day, because I need a better chair, and I'm going out today to get one because it's being consistent as I do more and more. My back at the end of the day and my neck hurts so badly. And there are times when I even have numbness and tingling into my hands and fingers after a long day at the computer. And I absolutely know that I need to stretch and do things. And I've been doing that, but I need to keep at it.
Yes, we all have to do that.
Yeah, yes. Bone health is often simplified to calcium and vitamin D, but you've highlighted that minerals like magnesium and vitamin K are the unsung heroes. Can you explain why they're just as important for strong bones and healthy aging?
There's so much that is needed, but let me tell you a little bit about magnesium and zinc. Those are the only two minerals in the body that support over 300 enzymatic reactions in the body.
Oh,
if you're missing those two, and zinc is even more of a problem sometimes of missing than magnesium. But when you take a supplement like calcium, you need to balance it out with magnesium.
yes.
And I don't know why nobody's talking about this or telling people this, but you try to keep those two minerals at a balance. Now, you won't know exactly what you're eating of either one of them.
Yep.
So you try to keep the supplements at least somewhat balanced. If you take so much of this, you take so much of that.
Yeah.
That's
I want to make clients and my listeners aware that if they take a pill like Prilosec or omeprazole or any of those acid controlling drugs, that they deplete magnesium.
yes.
And people don't realize that. And so when you're on those drugs, and I have a bad stomach, so I've been on them for a very long time, that you really have to be on a magnesium supplement just for that, let alone for, and magnesium's a wonderful supplement because it helps with sleep. And now I know that it helps with bones. And zinc, I know we've always, as a nurse, have encouraged people to, when they need wound healing, to take extra zinc. But nobody talks about how important it is just for daily life. And I learned something just now from you. So I appreciate that.
The minerals are there for a reason, and your bones are a matrix of all these minerals.
Yes.
I brought something, I don't know if this is one of the things I take, OsteoProCare. Now, let me tell you what's in it.
Okay.
Okay, we've got vitamin D, we've got calcium, we've got iron, we've got iodine, we've got magnesium, we've got zinc, selenium, which is almost never talked about.
Yes.
Selenium you only really get from Brazil nuts most of the time. And who of us eats a lot of Brazil nuts?
Yeah, really.
Copper, manganese, chromium. I'm going to say this one wrong because I've never been able to say it. Molybdenum.
Yep, went right over my head.
It's molybdenum. So there you go.
So that's OsteoProCare. If my listeners wanted to purchase that for their bones, where would they buy it?
I hate to tell you, this is a multi-level marketing thing, but I've taken it for decades because I was diagnosed with the osteoporosis, and it has helped. I've come back, like I said. So you can probably get something like this in your local store if you don't want to go MLM, which is fine with me because I don't push it.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because it can be reversed because some of the drugs that they give women for calcium or to help their bones build when they have osteoporosis are really hard on the body, their stomachs, and they have to take it and they have to sit up for so long. And it's a very challenging drug. So to be able to take something over the counter that works is really important. And to know that you can reverse it with work and simple supplements is a good thing to learn about.
It takes a long time, but it's there.
Hey, with a little bit of resistance training in that helps. Just even with little bands, rubber bands, the therapy bands to keep up your strength and build those bones, because that's really important. Now, you're a massage therapist and you have a unique vantage point to observe the body. So what kind of early signs like suspicious moles, contractions, or imbalances do you often catch that others might miss?
I have cut a cancerous mole because people don't see it. And I've got one client now who has her back is full of raindrop shaped brown.
Yeah.
But I guess they're not moles because her doctors haven't been concerned. But I did mention them to her just in case she wanted to talk about it.
Yes. I have to tell you, we have here in Myrtle Beach, there's a massage therapy school. So you can go and get discounted where the students treat you and they learn. And one of the students said, hey, you have this mole on your back. Would you go get it? You should consider getting it treated. She goes, I don't know if I should say anything. I said, oh, no, absolutely. My mom had moles on her back that changed. And it turned out that she had cancer and it was changing in her body. So it is a good indicator of cancer. And of course, nowadays I see people having skin surgeries all over the place. We were like, when I was a kid, now I'm 72, when I was a kid, we wore baby oil to get out in the sun. Oh my Lord. So we have damaged skin. And I just recently had, and I've been really good. I stay out of the sun because it really is hard on my body. I just burn so easy. And you have to keep reapplying sunscreen. So I try to stay out of the sun. But I just recently had skin cancers removed from my arms that were moles and a few from my face, just mild ones. But I caught them early because I go to a dermatologist every year at least, or every 6 months if they have to follow up. But I have so many clients right now that are going for Mohs procedures where they stage it and it looks like a tiny little mole. And all of a sudden they've got something at the size of a 50-cent piece. And the Mohs procedure is where they they excise it over and over again to make sure they have clean edges and the cancer hasn't been there. And people don't realize that just a simple little mole can change their life and be a devastating diagnosis.
Several decades ago, I had one on my back. And again, I discovered that, I think it was in Hawaii, but I'm not sure. They had a big mirror and I was doing this, getting my back dry.
Yeah.
And I just noticed something over my shoulder. And I said, I wonder,
Yes.
It turned out to be what is it? The one that's not particularly bad. It'll take years to get to you.
Oh, yes. Like the squamous cellar. I think.
There you go.
Yeah.
They found that and I had it covered here and the doctor was funny. He goes, we can do it right here and right now.
Uh-huh.
Or you can wait for another appointment and do it pretty. And I said, I don't care if it's pretty, dig it out now.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, yes.
Then later he says it could have taken 10 years to get to your spine and be anything, but I'm like, thanks for telling me.
Why take it for granted? Don't take your health for granted and don't let vanity get in the way of good health because it could be devastating to you.
Yeah.
Now, because you are a massage therapist, can you explain to the seniors why not just relaxation is important with massage therapy, but also the posture, circulation, and overall bone and joint health it can help improve?
Like with you, okay, if you've got the rounding,
yes,
if you're getting somebody who knows what they're doing, they're going to be stretching up these muscles.
Yes, the chest muscles, yes.
And trying to release them. And then when I have somebody on the table for their back, I'll try to go toward the center because that's shortening those muscles.
Yes.
And it gives them a little reminder of where they're supposed to be.
Yes.
And it relieves the tension, both of over-contraction and of overstretching.
Yes, yes, yes.
And that allows, like you were saying, you have nerve tingling. And that's because you've got either muscles entrapping a nerve or you've got the spine, neck doing something with the nerve.
Yes.
So therefore, anything you can do to get back and to get some rubbing and relief off of those muscles can relax it so that you don't get tingling.
Yes.
So
it does. Massage improves the circulation, and that's really important.
And we can stretch those muscles out. You have to continue, but we can at least get the process started. And there's so much more you can do. I work right up at the spine.
Uh-huh.
And those of us who are trained for it, there's a special training for it, can work to hopefully get closure on some of those bone parts that have bent.
Uh-huh.
That's because they're curving improperly.
Yes.
So you want to close some of those that are way out there. You want to put them back in. And that may or may not be something we can do. Depends on the person and what they've got going on and the person who's working on you.
Exactly. Exactly. Now, you often educate seniors and caregivers about canes, walkers, and wheelchairs. Now, what are the biggest mistakes people make when selecting or using mobility aids that can affect their posture and their pain and their aging?
Oh, God. They make every mistake in the world because the doctors and the insurance companies aren't doing their jobs right now.
I
So
agree.
let me explain that because that's the bottom line for all this.
Yes.
The insurance companies are the doctors these days.
Yes.
The doctors get to see you for all of 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And as one of my doctors told me, and he is no longer my doctor because he told me this, when I confronted him about his people in the waiting room that looked like this every time I came in, I said, why aren't you referring them out? Or, no, I didn't say that. I said, what are you doing to help these people? And he goes, I don't have any time to do an assessment. That takes 2 hours.
Yes.
And I said, do you have 5 minutes to refer them out? And he just stuttered.
Yes. In his defense, I've worked on both sides of the fence, and I worked for insurance companies and for a short time. And what I see is the doctors they need triple the amount of staff to go through all the government hoops that are expected to get a referral. And and they just stop doing it. They really do. I'm seeing that a lot on so many levels, not just for posture, but they do not want to refer out. And the other thing is, if they're under a managed care plan, they are discouraged to refer out. They're trying to keep it within their frame of practice. And it's really unfair because somehow financially it negatively impacts the physician to do that, to refer out. And that's a whole nother ball game. Plus, and what's going on now is the unintended consequences of our managed care and insurance, and with all the government policies that we have, the loopholes, physicians are making less than they were 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And that is a whole nother ballgame. So now we have a shortage of doctors, we have a shortage of specialists. And that's another challenge that we have to face, because the doctors aren't making having the financial rewards that they once had.
And because doctors aren't talking to their patients, I get them coming to me and going, what's happening with my blood test here? Can you tell me?
Yes.
I had a medication and it made me fall. What can you tell me? I get these things because nobody else is doing it.
You know what? 100%, Linda. I will agree to that. Yes. Now, you often educate seniors and caregivers about canes, walkers, and wheelchairs. What are the biggest mistakes people make when selecting or using mobility aids?
Let's start by not getting that referral from your doctor.
Yes.
Because there's a big reason for this. That's why I want to get this really out there.
Uh-huh.
Don't get a referral from your doctor and get a proper assessment.
Yes.
You don't know what you're doing in most cases.
Yes.
And so I've seen people go to thrift stores to buy canes.
Oh, yes.
And go to the freebies. Like right here in my community, we have a freebie thing from people who have died or moved for canes, walkers, and all that.
Yeah.
And I went with one lady here. She was the only one that's listened to me in all these years. But she says, you've talked to me about this. Will you go and help me pick one out from our freebies here? I said, sure. So I went and helped her size it and get everything she wanted. And we got to her home, and there was one thing I didn't know she wanted that all of a sudden presented itself. The bar in front moved, and she wanted one that was solid so she could pick her walker up and put it in the house because there was a lift.
Ah, yes.
And I said, okay, let's go back and get you one with a solid one. And we did.
Yeah.
And she was quite happy. But people don't know what they don't know, and they go out and pick whatever.
Yes.
And then they do more harm than good.
Yes.
Because look at you can't really see all the wheelchairs here, but the wheelchairs, see how low they are.
Yeah, wheelchairs are low. There's higher ones.
And you mostly need higher ones if you need postural supports.
Yes.
And I have heads on the chest that could have had a postural support for
yes. Yes. I started with Tara Slaughter as a durable medical equipment specialist and out of California. And we started a series, The Right Equipment at the Right Time. And one of the things I'm finding, again, it's related to insurance and finances. The Medicare has gone to a cost sharing plan. And what does that mean is it negatively impacts the seniors or anybody that needs equipment. They won't pay for durable medical equipment, or if they do, it's very little and very limited, and it doesn't take into consideration all the important factors, like you're saying, your height, your weight, your own medical conditions that could improve and your posture. I see that as an old rehab nurse, as in seasoned. I've seen it for decades, and it's really challenging. And especially in those that are on Medicaid or have the managed care companies, they're desperately looking for equipment, and they'll take whatever's free thinking it's the best one, and it's not.
Exactly.
So can you explain how the wrong cane, walker, or wheelchair can actually make posture and bone health worse?
Yes. I saw a picture on LinkedIn of a little boy. This physical therapist was posting her son because he had broken his leg. And I looked at the picture and I said, I can't tell. I said this on LinkedIn. I can't truly tell, but it looks like his crutches need to go down a notch.
Yes.
I couldn't, there was stuff in the way, so I couldn't quite tell, but just the fact that his elbow was out.
Yes.
Told me, okay, that looks too high.
Yes. Yes.
So if you got somebody that doesn't look comfortable, you should have your arms at your side for all of these things, for canes, for walkers, or for crutches.
Yes.
And in Hawaii, I was given crutches that were way too high. I knew nothing about them at the time, and I kept falling. This tripler sent me out the door with these crutches where I was going like this. And like I said, at that time, I knew nothing, so I just fell and fell. We lived in a 3-story skinny apartment.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, Lord, you got it. So I had to crawl up and down the stairs, leave the crutches, forget it. I couldn't take them up.
Yes.
Down. So it was insane. And my husband at the time watched me fall enough that he said, let's go to a medical supply store and see what else they got. Yeah. The medical supply store had a ramp. I tried to use the ramp and fell there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Linda, I did orthopedic rehab too, ortho and rehab. And I can tell you, insurance doesn't pay for a physical therapist to size you for the right canes, the right crutches and things. And it's really a challenge for people because they don't understand. Nothing makes me crazier than to see somebody trying to struggle and their arms hurt and their shoulders hurt.
Your neck.
Yeah, and the neck. And it's just wrong. But we no longer have healthcare professionals being able to give us direct guidance and proper guidance. They're not reimbursed for it. And so we're left as healthcare provider consumers to fend for ourselves. That's why your information and Tara's information is so important, because you have to, there's so many things that you need to know to be comfortable, but also to be safe. Higher crutches made you a fall risk.
Not only a risk, I was a falling person.
Yes. And what we have to worry about is, number one, falls are the number one independence robber of seniors. One fall can totally devastate them so that they never return home again because they can't have they don't have an accessible house, or because the fall created a situation where that led to their death.
Or killed them. Yep.
Yes, the fall killed them. You want to prevent that, but we have to be educated healthcare consumers. That's why the services you provide are so important. And so I want to talk about, for someone who hasn't been very active, what's a simple, low impact way they can start incorporating weight-bearing exercise into their daily routines without feeling overwhelmed?
Hopefully you have a dog. I got my little poodle, wherever he is,
Yes.
to walk me because I knew I wasn't walking enough.
Yes.
And I finally said, okay, I've got to do this, and this is going to make me do it. And I
It does.
walk him and now his little sister 3 times a day. So they get walked constantly. Now she's a socializer and he's a walker. So there's two different
dynamics there.
So the first walk is walking, and that's about a mile. And the second and third walks are more for visiting because we visit a lady who had to put down her dog about a year ago.
Oh, yeah.
So my little one doesn't take the place of her dog, obviously, but gives her lots of love and attention and goes to her place every day religiously. Yes. And it's just to give her some comfort. Plus, she's very ill as well. So she only comes out once every 2 or 3 days for us. But
Yes.
she goes to her house anyway and looks for her, waits for her.
It's funny you should say about a dog, because I want to tell you right now that when I first moved to Myrtle Beach 10 years ago, I was working on my site, but I wasn't getting socialization, and I went to the beach every day. Once a day isn't enough. So I started dog sitting and I dog walk, and that forces me to get out, not only for exercise, but to socialize.
Exactly.
And because so many places don't allow you to have pets in your home, if you're in an apartment building or senior housing or whatever, and pets are so important, not just for your body health, but for psychological and your emotional well-being. So I do that, and I still do it to this day because I need that exercise, and it just makes it just an overall well-being. But other than having a dog, for those that can't or don't,
there's Tai Chi, there's yoga, all that stretches and works on the bones, and it's gentle if you're getting the right instructor. There's even some Japanese things that you can learn, like taking a towel and pulling it and twisting.
Oh.
And then you're working. You don't have to have any fancy equipment. It's just working against yourself. And when you work against yourself, you're strengthening a lot of muscles that don't get strengthened elsewhere.
You know what? I love Scott Cole. Scott Cole he works with seniors. He's a Tai Chi Qigong instructor, and he's in California, but I used to for 10 years. I've used his videos and stuff, and he has them in the chair and he has standing ones. And Tai Chi is such a gentle way. A lot of people can't do the yoga poses, and they have to find special ones directed for seniors. Not every senior. I may have been strong, and I wasn't an athlete, but I was strong and was active in my youth into my later years because of the job that I did with nursing. But it also destroyed my body. And it does for many nurses. Lifting and tugging just ruins their backs and their body. So Tai Chi is something that I really encourage, because we also have to worry about our balance.
Yes.
Yes.
And Tai Chi is very good for that.
Yes, it really is. And you can break it. I encourage everybody that if you haven't been active, there's Tai Chi in a chair, sitting Tai Chi. And it does some little bit of standing, but also everything in the chair, so you can do your work to build up your strength. And then you can move from the sitting to the standing when you do it over time. And I think that's really important. Now, you've worked as a direct care worker, an administrator, and even a federal advocate. So how have those roles shaped your understanding of aging and posture-related challenges?
The posture-related challenges I've seen in everybody, no matter their age, in a wheelchair.
Yes.
That just doesn't do well. I've also seen posture problems in young adults or older teens.
Yes.
Because they're doing the backpacks to school.
Yes.
Sometimes they're going up hill instead of just downhill. So they're constantly like this too.
Yeah.
Then all the texting we have these days. Oh, geez.
Yeah, it's really bad. And on the computer all the time. And it's really bad for them. I always look at the young mothers who wear the snuggly huggies that are close to their chest, and or the backpack, and where they put the babies on the backpack. And I think, oh, how are you hurting your back?
Well, again,
Yep. It's leaning forward. Yeah.
causing you to lean forward. Or if it's on the back, it can do, you almost need one for the back and one for the front so that you're evened out.
Yeah.
That's what you need.
Yeah. The other thing is, when I was young, women were putting weights around their legs and walking, and to make them stronger. But what it did was, it was harming them more than it was hurting them, because of what they were doing when they walked. They were taking large steps, and the weights just get you all off balance. And while it was thought to be good, it wasn't.
That brings me to another point that I could have forgotten. So thank you. So much to this that it really needs to be exposed.
Yeah.
But if you have high arches or low arches, you need foot supports. And I don't just the ones in the shoes that are already there. You may need a specialized one.
Yeah.
That is something I have had for years now because of my flat feet. And it's another thing you have to understand. If you're high arched like this, muscles up the center of your whole body are shortened.
Yes.
And if you're flat footed, it's just the opposite.
Right.
Of the body is lengthened and the outsides are shortened. So that's another thing you can do as a massage therapist, is start working on that imbalance. But like every muscle has a twin that put the opposite direction. So you need to understand, you need to be as balanced as possible.
I wore orthotics, have always worn them. They were very expensive, but they're decades old. They still work for me.
Exactly. Me too.
One of the things that these young women, they're getting bunions in their 20s and 30s because they're wearing high heels all the time. And women don't understand how bad high heels are for you. I just recently saw one of my neighbors in her late 70s out walking in stilettos. And I went, oh my Lord. She goes, my boyfriend likes it. I said, I just couldn't deal with that, because it hurts my back, my legs. And they don't understand that they're shortening their calf muscles. And
and they're causing themselves metatarsal arch collapse later on.
Yes. And bunionectomies used to be something for older women in their 60s, 70s, and 80s. And now I was shocked to learn young women in their 20s, early 20s, are having bunionectomies. And it's because of poor shoe wear, because of fashion.
And people just don't see this. One of the things I see with seniors all the time is they go around in either flip-flops or in house slippers.
Yep.
That has no support. And then they wonder why their back hurts, why their hips hurt, why their neck hurts, why everything hurts. And I'm going, first of all, I had a 90-year-old woman as a client for a very brief moment in time. And one of the things I told her and her daughter is, she's going around in slippers. You need to get her some arch support slippers. And a year or more later, I went back to that retirement home, and I was working an event where I massaged folks.
Yes.
And that woman came to me and she goes, thank you so much for telling my daughter to get these for me. They have worked wonders.
It makes a difference. In fact, I buy special flip-flop type things that have special support in them, because I need that. Between the round shoulders, the big boobs, and all the lifting and tugging, my body's all out of sorts. And it shows in the pain that I have. Oh, and it's because I didn't take care of myself the way I needed to when I was younger. I didn't know that it would cause all these problems. And I
Yeah.
thought I was
I
doing
feel
well.
sorry for big boob people.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't get why women even have them done. I really don't, because it's just really it causes so much pain. At the back and the neck issues are just incredible. And that's challenging for women. Now, what role do caregivers play in noticing posture changes or bone health issues? And how can they advocate for their loved ones with healthcare providers?
Oh, Jay, I can give you a bunch of examples. I've had just notice the furniture, number one.
Yeah.
That your people are using. I've had a little tiny woman who was, nobody noticed in her room. She had a pedestal bed.
Oh, those make me crazy.
She could barely get in it without toppling over on top of her head.
Yes.
And there's a whole story behind that one, but we'll leave that for there. I had another lady who had a huge recliner, and she was another little tiny lady. She had been given a new muscle relaxant that she asked me to check on because she had never heard of it and I had never heard of it. So I found out that she had fallen because they had given her the same dose that they would have given a football player. And then she had her feet about this far off the ground with the recliner, and she tried to get out and she fell.
Yeah. Yeah. I had
Furniture. Number one.
You know what? And that's a really good point, because I had a client who was tiny. And when I first met her, she was in this recliner meant for a big person. And I can tell you right now, with me, the recliner that I have set in when I go to other people's homes, that the neck part of it is not suitable for me because I'm short and it pushes my neck forward and it hurts. And so we actually got this. I laughed because it looked like a little kid's chair, this recliner that they got, but it was perfect for her and it made sense. And I actually, when my son had a terrible pain condition, my oldest son, and I said, you need a proper chair because it was impacting everything he was doing because it was related to his foot. And I took him to Lazy Boy and I giggled because he must have sat in 100 chairs, but he found the right one for him. And that was more important than anything for me, is for him to get a good chair. And people don't understand it. Like, just in a chair, you even have to consider your head and neck. Yeah.
I have trouble in car seats sometimes because their stuff is wrong for me.
Yes.
So I have to try out the car seats first.
Yeah, I understand that. I really do, because
I'm sure you do.
It's just really uncomfortable. And especially if you're in your home, you want something that's going to suit you and for the rest of your life. So you have to, it's worth it to spend the extra cash to get the right thing, the right seat or the right equipment at the right time so that it can last longer. People don't, they look at just the immediate need.
Yes.
And they don't consider future needs. And that's something that people really need to reevaluate as they're looking at furniture and equipment.
And the equipment, especially the wheelchairs, if you have a deteriorating condition that you know is going to change, these things are only paid for, once every 7 or 10 years. But you need to have that doctor actually sit down and talk with you for a minute. Yes. What is my prognosis and what am I going to need over time so that what do I get to get that stretch okay?
And I also recommend that the family caregiver or the senior ask for a referral for fitting through the physical therapy.
They have to, yeah.
Yeah, and because doctors aren't doing that either. They're just not. And it's really important that families request that. They can. It should be covered. Lord knows with what's happening in Medicare right now, if you have managed care, you probably won't get that approved. Or if you will, it's going to take a while because it's delay and deny first before you get approval, and you have to go through an appeals process. But that's meant to make you give up. But I encourage everybody to push through and get what you deserve, but are going to be denied because of financial constraints by the insurance company. And I'm going to tell people here that our government created a multi-billion-dollar insurance industry of gatekeepers. Here's the insulting thing. We pay for the buildings, the equipment, the staff, their benefits. We have paid to grow this and the bonuses. So we've paid for this multi-billion-dollar industry to tell us we can and cannot do therapy or cannot do this and then they insult us by requiring copays. How about the CEOs stop taking salary, or not salaries, bonuses? How about I just really think we need to get rid of all the managed care because in some way and put all that money back into the Medicare till so that we have financial support for our aging population. And let's get back to good quality care.
Yes.
One of the things I learned when I took an insurance course recently to be an agent, because I wanted to see what they're teaching and how they're selling things. And the first thing that shocked me was they say in this course that Medicare Advantage programs have high copays, high out-of-pocket expenses, and high deductibles to deter use of benefits. That means we only have the illusion of healthcare. That just shocks me.
I have never gone to an Advantage plan. I have straight Medicare and I have Anthem Blue Cross to go with it. And that has paid for itself over and over again.
Yes. And I will tell you right now that's with what's happening in our healthcare, they're trying to move us all to managed care. Now, it used to be that you could transfer back to traditional Medicare, because we used to do that all the time if they needed home care or needed to be put in a nursing home. We just say, hey, transfer back to traditional Medicare. It's just going to be better for you. But now they have a rule that after 11 months and so many days, if you've been on a managed care plan, you can never go back to traditional. So that is just cost effective. That's how they're approaching it. We don't have managed care. We actually have no care. And it's the illusion of healthcare, which is very frustrating for so many. And I'm insulted when I hear this because I think of all the healthcare organizations out there that are putting money to keep us from having good care. And we're paying for an industry that doesn't need to exist or shouldn't exist or needs to be downsized because they're not doing their job of actually managing care. All they're doing is denying and delaying.
Yeah, they need to go back to where they used to be, and the doctors need to be elevated back to where they used to be so they can actually spend some time with you and care for you. That's
100%. I agree. So
I'm on LinkedIn and I'm connected with a lot of doctors and a lot of people discussing this, and the physical therapists are unhappy. The doctors are unhappy. All sorts of people in that system are unhappy.
Yes.
As massage therapists, only the Actors Guild will pay for us out of insurance. So
oh, wow. And
everybody else
sad?
Well, yeah, it is.
On the other perspective, when I was in nursing, and I know it sounds like I was in the dark ages, but we used to actually have what they called HS cares, hour of sleep care. And we were actually able to bathe our patients. But at night, we would take a cart with towels and lotion, and we would have a pan with hot water, and we'd put the lotion bottles in there to warm up the lotion. And we would start at one end of the hall and move forward. And we went to every single patient, and we would bathe their back, and we would lotion them up and do skincare checks and do their feet and their elbows. So we knew that they were going to be okay. And today I've had patients actually be discharged with wounds on their heels that the facility didn't even know they had. And this is another one that's I have rage when I hear this. Facilities are now saying a person has the right to refuse to be turned. And they're letting people actually develop decubitus, pressure sores that cost at the minimum $100,000 to treat. And why would they do that? Why would they say, oh, you have the right to refuse? And then when they develop these sores, they're either not getting treated and they're not getting observed because nurses don't have time to assess anymore, that it's just costing more money. And it's rampant. It's like this patient right thing. There's patients right and there's what's right for them. And you have to make that, yeah, they have the right, but I'm going to tell you right now, I'm your nurse and I'm not going to let you get a pressure sore. And I'm going to check your heels and your butt and your elbows because to make sure that you're in good shape. And we used to, as nurses, be able to check heels. And if they felt mushy, we screwed up before it even broke down. And now they're actually not only sending them home and they didn't even know they had them, but they're dropping the ball because they're not ordering home care for these people to have the wound care that they need.
Oh, I know. And your thing leads me back to what I was starting to talk about earlier with the doctors and the insurance companies.
Yes, yes.
And then what happens is if those same people who didn't get the assessment go into a retirement home without all the medical backup for the equipment that they need and the reasons, then licensing comes in and takes it away.
Yes.
You go into almost any home across the US, and if you see a seatbelt in a wheelchair, glory, hallelujah, somebody's going to wait to get you.
You know what? You're 100% right. And the other thing is assisted living is a social model, not a medical model. And people are being discharged from hospitals back to assisted living. So you don't even have anybody in the facility, or there may be one nurse in the whole building that they has to see the patient for may or may not have to see the client when they come back to the assisted living, and they miss everything. We have such a broken healthcare system. And home care benefits have also been cut.
Yep.
So that we are seeing nursing homes close. We're seeing as we have a silver tsunami coming. We have the home care is closing. We have a really serious health crisis here, a public health crisis here in the country that is already bad. It's going to get terribly worse.
And it's prematurely deforming us and crippling us and killing us.
We're a country of abundance. And the fact that we used to have the most amazing healthcare system. Yeah, if people thought it was unfair, but I can tell you that when you went into a teaching hospital, it didn't matter how much money you had, what your status in life was, you still got the best possible care ever. Now it's with the managed care, that's not happening anymore because none of us are getting quality of care because they've cut so much. And for decades, I worked for home health and I've worked for assisted living. And I can tell you that when the people that had no money on Medicaid or whatever, they were denied care after they got discharged from the hospital. I was shocked, and I felt it was so hard when I did discharge planning too. And when you had a person with Medicaid, no facility wanted them. Home care companies don't want them. Nobody wants to service them, even with durable medical equipment, because the reimbursement rate is so low, it doesn't even cover the cost of the equipment or the service. So we are in a big crisis here. That's why it's so important that we address these issues now, Linda, like you are doing, because it's so important. Now, we've been talking about bone loss, and people believe that it's an inevitable part of aging, but it's not. And what's one key takeaway you want your listeners to remember to challenge that belief and feel more empowered about their health?
Like I said, bones remodel every 7 years. So it may take a while, but if you're going to go ahead and do it yourself, then do it yourself. Now, I haven't talked about this, but if you want to try some things, there's xylitol. That's something else I've used for decades now, rather than sugar. Xylitol, don't let your dogs have it. It's deadly to the dogs, but it's in plants naturally.
Yes.
But it supports your teeth. And by the way, teeth are bones. So if you're having teeth problems, you're probably having bone problems.
100%. Yep.
So that's another thing. It helps keep your teeth and your gums better. And it helps, they're saying it helps you absorb calcium in the gut better.
Interesting.
And I've been put it in my tea and coffee every morning. It's been doing it for ages. The only reason I have sugar in the house is for the hummingbirds.
Now you're going to cause them to have health issues.
Actually, I was wanting to give them xylitol, but I looked it up and it doesn't have enough sugar.
Yes, they need the energy. I'm teasing about the sugar with them, but I understand. And here's another example of government involvement. I could remember in the 60s, early 60s, my grandfather had a heart attack. And then they wanted you to have no salt and they wanted you to avoid fat. So we grew up in my household and my grandmother's household of my grandmother, when she made gravy, would sit it outside in the cold and get the fat off of it. We ate ice milk. But what the government did was they said fat was bad for you.
Oh, yeah.
And what happened, they encouraged us to eat margarine. They encouraged us, and they forced food companies to take the fat out of our diet. What they did, in fact, was the food companies, to make the food more palatable, they put sugar in. And that is devastating. That has caused the obesity problem with all this processed food. It's just terrible. And we're going to end up going back to what's really healthy. Now margarine's bad for you. No kidding. It was plastic. And skim milk doesn't. It was a product called ice milk. I don't know if you ever saw that.
No, I don't think I saw that.
That was when, now that's in the 60s. They sold ice milk and it had no fat. And it was probably the most unhealthy thing we ever had because it had more sugar and it probably has some kind of plastic polymer in it of some sort and that's what we ate because we were being conscientious, and it was government screwed up and they didn't know what they were doing. So now we have to go back to the pendulum's going to swing the other way. Let's worry about sugar. Let's not worry about fat so much and get back to eating healthy, good food, which makes a huge difference as well.
Yeah, I gave up margarine a long time ago, but somebody somewhere told me that put a tub of margarine or a stick of margarine outside and you won't even see the insects want it.
I know. I love the ice cream cone with the chocolate on it that come buddies. I can't think of the name of it, but we all like them. They come individually wrapped. They're a chocolate cone with dipped chocolate or nuts on the top. Anyway, I watched a video where they said, watch it melt. And it didn't melt. I was like, oh my God, I've been eating those and they're so bad for you. If they can't melt and they don't know, and creatures don't want them, we've got a problem. Yeah, that could be get rid of roaches. Just put these little buddies, out. I'm like, oh my God. So, Linda, you have such valuable information, and I'm so appreciative of you taking time to share it with us. Can you tell people how they can reach you and find you?
My website is loveyourlongevity.com. It's an older one. I need to update it, granted, but it's got a lot of good information on it still.
Yes. And that's what's important.
Yeah, it'll have more eventually, and it won't be that much longer, I don't think. I'm expecting a bit of money to come down the chimney and grace me pretty soon. So if it does that, I've got several things I want to do with that money, but the website is one of the things I need to update, and I know that. So it will eventually be dead.
Yeah. Again, give the website one more time.
loveyourlongevity.com.
And I'll put a link to your site there. And is there any other way anybody can reach you?
You can email me at arthritiscoach@gmail.com. Sorry. Websites, emails.
That's important information, and I really appreciate that. To my family caregivers out there, you are the most important part of the caregiving equation. Without you, it all falls apart. So please learn to be gentle with yourself. Practice self-care every day because you are worth it.